and looked at the controller. The lights were still on, yet I had no vibe. Suddenly, the cord felt loose. I pulled the cord, but the silver bullet remained lodged inside my walls. My mouth dropped open as I stared at the dangling small wires that were once attached to my beloved electronic lover. No, no, no. I panicked as I attempted to push the wires back in the end of my bullet, as if it had simply come unplugged. I frantically scanned the room with my eyes for something that could either fix my bullet or take its place for the final moments in the game. I was out of luck. I wanted to cry as I could feel my orgasm creeping back inside as I stared at the pathetic remains of my now dead girlfriend. Just like my last real girlfriend, my bullet had left me heated and unfulfilled. I wanted to scream. I threw a small temper tantrum on my bed, hitting my hands against my mattress. I thought about using my own fingers, but I knew it wouldn't be the same. I was never good at pleasuring myself. My stomach always seemed to get in the way whenever I tried. I let out a deep sigh and got out of my bed and headed down my long walkway toward my studio. The cold concrete floor took away remains of the orgasm I never had. I suddenly felt inspired. I grabbed the mound of my sculpting clay, grabbed my knife, and began to let my memory guide my hands. The cold, wet clay began to take form as I shaped a torso with a round belly. I formed curves on the sides familiar to the curves I tried to hide with my Spanx daily. I closed my eyes and thought about those hands. I couldn't get the hands out of my mind. My mind guided my hands as I sculpted the image. I looked over at the clock. 3 hours had passed before I had even known it. I took a step back from my work, admiring my new creation. Something struck me as odd. I looked over at 2 of my other sculptures. The hands were very different. On my others, my hands were soft, delicate, slender, and smooth. I glanced back at my new creation. These hands were different. They were strong, larger than normal, and there was nothing delicate about them. I stood there, staring at my own body in clay form. These hands were definitely not the hands I was used to over my years of dating. These hands were masculine. Chapter 2. My alarm clock freaked me out. I jumped up. My head pounded from the quick movement. I grabbed the alarm clock, pulling it from the wall, throwing it with force until it crashed against my walls. I fell back on my pillow, putting my hand against my head. After my own snooze session, I finally mustered the courage to get out of my bed. I took a long, hot shower and threw on the first outfit I could find in my newly washed pile of clothes. I brushed my long, thick hair, pulling it back into a ponytail. I applied some edge control to my edges, hoping they would stay in place for at least half the day. I looked at myself in the mirror and frowned. I pulled my hair out of the ponytail, grabbed a headband, and put it on my head. I brushed my hair, letting it fall down on my shoulders. I shrugged my shoulders. This look was going to have to do for the day. I rushed back into my bedroom to grab my cordless phone that was ringing. I knew it had to be one of 2 people, as no one ever called my home phone. I smiled when I saw the strange number on the screen. "Kev?" I squealed. "What's up, chick?" My best friend Kevin's deep baritone voice echoed through the phone. I hadn't spoken to him in over a month. "I should be mad at you, but I'm not gonna be." I pouted. "Sorry, sweets. You already know the business." My smile covered my face. It had been over a year since I'd seen my best friend who had taken a job as a travel photographer with the Travel Channel. Kevin and I had been best friends since the 6th grade. While I focused on my art, he focused on his photography, becoming an amazing photographer. He took his dream job shooting for the Travel Channel, which kept him out on assignments all over the world. Over the years, he had become more of a big brother.